Well, with us, in a situation like this, our depth has got to be a big factor in the game overall. And we talked about it this morning at our meeting. We just need to be persistent and try to wear them down. And they're a little thin right now without Murray. And so, but we got 9 or 10 guys that are ready, and like everybody contributed. Furphy played a few minutes in the first half and he got 3 or 4 rebounds. Matherin didn't score a lot, but he was physical and he did some good things at both ends. Walker had a really impactful game, especially on the defensive end. He made open shots, and like a night like tonight, a guy like Tyrese, who's been throwing up huge numbers, could get really frustrated. They're committing 2 to him every single time, but he saw what was happening. The attention to him was bringing great shots to other guys, and so that kept everybody into it, and it gave us a lot of energy. And he made some big plays down the stretch of the game.
Myles said that in the postgame walk-off interview with JJ. He said the key to our team is we know our roles, and he said that about Tyrese, that lots of players might be selfish. Tyrese has not a selfish bone in his body.
Well, at this stage, we went through some really difficult playoff stuff last year. Played 3 series. So guys that had never played in the playoffs got a real dose last year. And look, these last 5 games, including tonight, are all going to be playoff games. I mean, we got to approach it that way. Washington too. I mean, Washington gave us 2 hellacious games before we had the one where we made every shot, a week and a half ago. And so all these games really matter. And so, we have to commit to standards. We've got to be who we are, and it's a strength in numbers type thing with the Pacers. That's who we are.
Read from a first half, second half. Jokic had 29 in the first half, but he only had 12 in the second half. What kind of role did Myles Turner play in that?
Well, again, I thought Myles and Thomas and Tony Bradley played a few minutes, in the first half. We're all key. And when you're a guy like that, and the other team keeps throwing big bodies at you that are just square and trying to be in position and stuff like that, you hope as the opponent that there is some wear down effect. And so, look, fourth quarter, I mean, they scored 30 in the first 3 quarters, 33, 33, 31, and then 23 in the fourth, was, our second unit was huge. McConnell, Matherin, I mentioned Furphy, Walker, Thomas, Bryant, Tony Bradley. I mean, all these guys really helped in this game.
They did. Obi Toppin back in the starting lineup because of Pascal's absence. He really got you off to a great start, didn't he?
Yeah. Look, Obi knows what the deal is when you're a starter in the NBA, and he filled that role very well for us. The first half of his first year before we traded for Pascal, and he loves these opportunities, and he took full advantage. He made some great plays in the first half. His shot making was terrific. Second half, I thought he played solid. Not every shot went down, but he was really into the game, and it was a big factor.
Yeah, that's how we want to approach tonight. We know we're getting closer and closer, and just getting ourselves ready, for the real season. So, I think it was a great test for us tonight. A lot of stuff to overcome, and like I said, we banded together when we needed to.
You guys have to have a team approach against Jokic. He had 29 in the first half, but only 12 in the second half. What did you guys do any differently in the second half?
Sometimes you got to lose the battle, win the war. I think sometimes, he's a great player. He's going to make shots. You're not going to stop him from scoring, just try to slow him down. And I think overall it was a team effort. I think towards the end, we doing different looks. Ty got a big steal, then there was a big turnover with the look we gave him there too. So, like I said, it's not a one-man job defending someone of his caliber.
But you guys have won 4 in a row. What has been the common thread? What is the one thing that you've done each of these last 4 games?
I think it's a combination of things. I think our approach, resilience is one in there, persistence. What are the other 2? But our strength is in our togetherness. I think we have a very deep team. Anybody, anytime can go for 20 points. That's off the bench, that's starters, even our third unit at times. So I think just our togetherness has been big for us.
At the same point, you were very aggressive in going to the basket, shooting the three. I mean, that was something you put a lot of pressure on them as well, right?
Yeah, you have to. You got to give him different looks. If I'm just standing in the corner the whole time or, not making Jokic work, he gets to rest. He plays a lot of minutes for them, damn near 40 minutes a game. So you got to try to make him work as much as you can.
Did you think the end of the second quarter was the key in getting back in it? You guys were down 13, but that deficit was manageable going into the third?
Yeah, we never quit. I didn't think there's really no quit in this team. I think that was a big for us. This team goes on big runs. They made some, they make big plays, especially here in this building. And I can't remember the last time I won in this building. So, it was a great win for us.
Yeah. We needed that win. They needed that win. So anyway we can get it, we'll take it. I thought we made big plays in the second half when we needed to, and just made plays down the stretch when we needed to. So big win, and, keep trucking forward.
Myles and Coach really paid tribute to you because they were doing a lot to take you out of the game. What was that like tonight, and how did you make adjustments?
Yeah, I mean, they were, obviously, I think Jokic is underrated as a defender. He did a good job of staying on the ball, making me have to make plays. I feel like I made the right play more times than not. Guys made shots. Just trying to be patient, play the right way. Obviously frustrating night. Just feel like I really got a lot of really good looks. Just didn't fall. But it's about finding the right ways to win right now, and that's what's going to be for the rest of the year. So, just whatever I got to do to win is what we're going to do. And so we'll take it. Obviously, it's frustrating for me personally to not make shots, but we had a lot of different guys chip in. So nothing to be upset about. You move on.
I know you're taking great pride in your defense. You had a big steal there in the fourth quarter. I mean, those are the plays that get you going, even if the shot's not going in, right?
Yeah. I was just trying to step it up there. Obviously, coach and staff, my teammates been on me to be better down there, and I'm gonna have to be better there if we want to win a championship. And I understand that, and so I'm trying to take more pride in, and just trying to help us win, whatever it takes.
What can you say about the depth of this team and what we saw again from the second unit tonight?
Yeah, I mean, they were big for us. I thought Jarris Walker's minutes were huge. I thought Obi's minutes, even, he started, but in Pascal's absence were huge. Thomas, TJ, we had a lot of different guys, step up for us off the bench. Even Furphy got a couple minutes today. Ben, I thought our bench was good today. So that's just part of it sometimes, and part of our group is we pride ourselves in the depth of this group, and we take full advantage of it in a game like that, especially, in a game with this altitude and, guys are getting tired and stuff. You need depth. So, it plays right in our hands. I thought we had a lot of different guys step up.
You were the 6th seed last year. You've got 5 locked up. Your magic number for 4, where you are right now, is 2. So this is still a big week ahead, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. We understand that. We're approaching these games the right way. We want home court advantage. That's the most important thing right now. So we're trying to lock it up. We got a big game coming up against Washington at home. And then we, three games after that are against, teams that have beat us, this year. So got to be prepared for those games. And, home court's important. So we're going to do everything we can to lock that up so we have home court in the playoffs.